Hello, and welcome to a quiet evening here with us. This is Mind Lepic, where the words move slowly, like the gentle turn of a page in an old book left open by a window on a calm night. Tonight, we are going to spend our time in the soft, unhurried world of ancient Rome. Not the grand, marble forums or the loud cheers of crowds, but the smaller, everyday corners where life happened in its most peaceful rhythm. The title we will follow together is this one: Serene Journeys Through Unusual Habits of Ancient Roman Folks. We will walk through it very slowly. There is no hurry here. The story is made only of calm details, ordinary routines, the small sounds of a household waking up or settling down, the way light falls across a simple room, the feel of wool or linen in quiet hands. Everything will stay gentle. Nothing will rush or startle. If at any moment your eyes grow heavy or your breathing slows, that is perfectly all right. That is what this space is for. Before we begin, if it feels natural to you, I wonder, where are you listening from tonight? Perhaps you are tucked under a blanket in a room where the only light is the soft glow from your screen or a single lamp. What country holds you this evening? What city or town? There is no need to answer out loud, of course. Just let the thought drift through your mind if you like, or simply let it pass like a leaf on still water. Wherever you are, the same quiet night wraps around us all. Now, settle in. Let your shoulders soften. Let your hands rest wherever they feel most comfortable. We will start in the early morning of a Roman household. Not a palace, not a senator's grand villa, but the home of an ordinary family living in a narrow street of a busy town. The year does not matter much. We are somewhere in the long stretch of the 1st and 2nd centuries, when Rome had grown large and settled into its ways. The air is still cool when the day begins. A thin mist sometimes lingers over the tiled roofs. In many homes, the first sound is not a voice, but the quiet scrape of a wooden shutter being pushed open. The person who opens it is usually the woman of the house. Perhaps her name is Livia, or Claudia, or simply Mater to the children still sleeping. She moves without haste. Her feet are bare or wrapped in soft leather, soles that make almost no noise on the cool, stone or packed earth floor. She steps to the small window that looks onto the street. There is no glass in most windows. Instead, there are wooden shutters or sometimes thin sheets of translucent stone called lapis specularis that let a pale, milky light come through. This morning the shutters are open, and the first pale gray of dawn touches her face. She breathes in the air. It carries the faint smell of wood smoke from hearths already lit, the distant scent of fresh bread being baked in public ovens down the lane, and underneath it all the ever-present dampness of stone that never quite dries in this climate. Inside the house the rooms are simple. The main living space is called the atrium in larger homes, but in this modest dwelling, it is just the central room with an open roof, above a shallow basin that catches rainwater. Around it are smaller chambers for sleeping, for storage, for cooking. The walls are painted in soft reds and yellows, faded now from years of smoke and time, with simple borders of black and white. There are no grand pictures here. Just a few small scenes of birds or flowers, painted by someone who probably did it as a favor for a neighbor. Livia lights the first lamp of the day. It is a small clay vessel filled with olive oil, a wick of twisted linen resting in it. She touches a thin splinter of wood to the banked embers in the hearth, blows gently until it catches, then carries the tiny flame to the lamp. The wick catches with a soft pop. A warm, golden point of light appears, pushing the shadows back only a little way. She sets the lamp on a low table of dark wood. The flame trembles, steadies, trembles again. She watches it for a moment the way one watches a sleeping child. Calm, patient, without expectation. In the corner of the room, her husband, perhaps called Marcus or Gaius, is already awake. He has been awake for some time, lying on his side on a thin mattress stuffed with wool or straw, covered by a wool blanket dyed a muted brown. He does not rise quickly. Instead, he listens to the house waking, the soft creak of the floor as Livia moves, the distant clatter of a cartwheel on the stone street outside, the first faint chirp of a sparrow that has found its way under the eaves. He breathes slowly, letting the sounds settle over him like a second blanket. When he finally sits up, his movements are careful. His tunic is plain, undyed wool, a little worn at the elbows. He runs a hand through his hair, short, practical, beginning to show threads of gray. He says nothing yet. Words come later in Roman mornings. First, there is the quiet act of beginning the day. Livia brings him a cup of water drawn from the household cistern. The water is cool, tasting faintly of the clay jar it has rested in overnight. He drinks slowly, letting the coolness move down his throat. Then he stands. His sandals are simple, 2 flat soles tied with leather thongs. He slips them on without looking down. Together they move to the small hearth in the corner. It is only a raised brick platform with a low iron grate. Yesterday's ashes are still there, soft and gray. Marcus kneels, brushes the ashes aside with his hand, places a few small sticks and a piece of charcoal. Livia hands him the lamp so he can light the kindling. The flame catches quickly. Tiny sparks lift and disappear. Soon there is a small, steady fire. The warmth spreads slowly across the stone floor. They both sit near it for a while, not speaking, simply feeling the change in the air. This is one of those unusual habits we will linger on tonight. The Romans did not rush to fill every silence with words. Mornings were often quiet. People sat with their first warmth, their first light, and let the day arrive on its own terms. There was no rule written in stone that demanded it, yet almost everyone followed the same gentle pattern. It was simply the way things were done. Outside, the street is beginning to stir, but only just. A baker's boy pushes a handcart past, the wheels rumbling over uneven stones. He calls out once, softly, "Panis, fresh panis," but he does not shout. Shouting belongs to the middle of the day. Now the town is still half asleep. A dog barks once, then quiets. Somewhere a rooster crows, late and a little uncertain. Inside the house, the children are still asleep in the small side room. There are 2 of them, a girl of about 10 named Julia, and a younger boy called Lucius. They share a single wide bed, mattresses laid directly on the floor, covered with blankets of thick wool. Julia sleeps curled on her side, one arm thrown over her brother. Lucius has kicked his blanket half off during the night. One foot sticks out into the cool air. Neither of them stirs yet. The house protects their sleep. Livia rises again. She moves to a wooden chest against the wall. Inside are the day's supplies, a small sack of barley, a jar of lentils, dried figs wrapped in cloth, a wedge of hard cheese, a handful of olives preserved in brine. Breakfast will be simple. Porridge made from barley or wheat, perhaps mixed with a little honey if there is any left, or simply salted. She takes what she needs, carries it to the hearth. Marcus has already set a small bronze pot over the fire. Water is heating slowly. When it begins to steam, Livia adds the barley. She stirs with a long wooden spoon, the motion slow and even. The smell of warm grain rises, soft and comforting. It mixes with the wood smoke and the faint olive oil scent from the lamp. Nothing is hurried. The porridge thickens gradually. She tastes it once, nods to herself, adds a tiny pinch of salt from a small clay dish. While the food cooks, Marcus steps outside to the small courtyard behind the house. If the home is fortunate enough to have one, many do not. In this case, there is a narrow space open to the sky, with a low wall and a few clay pots holding herbs. Mint, rue, coriander. He checks the plants, runs his fingers over the leaves. They are damp with dew. He breaks off a small sprig of mint and crushes it between his fingers, brings it to his nose. The sharp green smell clears his head gently. Back inside, the porridge is ready. Livia ladles it into shallow clay bowls. There are 4 bowls, one for each person. She sets them on the low table near the hearth. The children are waking now. First, Julia opens her eyes, blinks at the light, then sits up slowly. She rubs her face with both hands. Lucius follows a moment later, yawning so widely his jaw cracks softly. They do not speak right away. They simply move toward the warmth. The family sits together on low stools or cushions on the floor. They eat slowly. Each spoonful is lifted carefully. The porridge is plain, warm, filling. Sometimes there is a drizzle of honey or a few pieces of dried fruit stirred in. Today it is simple. No one complains. This is breakfast. Tomorrow will be much the same. While they eat, the light in the room changes. The dawn has turned to pale gold. Sunlight slants through the open window and the hole in the atrium roof, catching motes of dust that drift lazily in the beams. The flames in the hearth have settled to a steady red glow. The lamp still burns, though its light is less important now. After the meal, the bowls are collected. Livia carries them to a small basin of water and washes them with a cloth. The water is cold, but she does not mind. Marcus helps dry them, setting each one carefully on a shelf. The children are sent to fold their blankets and straighten the sleeping mats. Their movements are sleepy, unhurried. No one raises a voice. This is another quiet Roman habit. The day was shaped around small, repeated acts: washing bowls, folding cloth, checking plants, stirring porridge. None of it was written as law, yet nearly every household followed the same gentle order. It gave life a rhythm that felt safe, predictable, calm. As the morning moves on, Marcus prepares to leave for his work. He is not a soldier or a great merchant. He works with numbers and records, perhaps keeping tallies for a grain dealer or helping manage supplies for one of the many small shops that line the streets. His tools are simple: a wax tablet, a stylus of bronze or bone, a small knife to sharpen the stylus, an ink pot for more formal documents. He gathers them into a leather pouch and ties it to his belt. Before he goes, he kisses Livia lightly on the forehead. She smiles, small and soft. He touches each child's head in turn. "Be good," he says quietly. They nod, still half in the warmth of sleep. He steps out into the street. The town is more awake now. Neighbors call greetings. Short, calm words. Salvete. Good morning. No one shouts. People move at an easy pace. Carts roll past carrying amphorae of oil or wine, baskets of vegetables, bundles of wool. The air smells of baking bread, fresh dung from the mules, herbs from doorways where women hang bunches to dry. Marcus walks without hurry. The stones under his feet are worn smooth by thousands of sandals before his. He passes a fountain where women are already filling jars, balancing them on their heads or hips. The water splashes softly. Someone laughs, a low, easy sound. A child runs past chasing a ball of rags tied together. No one scolds. The morning holds everything gently. Back in the house, Livia begins the next part of her day. She sweeps the floor with a broom of bundled twigs. The dust rises in small clouds, then settles. She takes the sweepings outside to the street, where they will be collected later by carts that carry refuse to the edges of town. She does not rush the task. Each stroke of the broom is even, deliberate. Then she turns to the wool. There is always wool. Roman households spun and wove much of their own cloth, especially in families that were not wealthy. A basket sits by the hearth, filled with cleaned wool. Soft, pale, smelling faintly of lanolin. Beside it is a distaff and spindle. Livia takes the distaff, tucks a handful of wool under her arm, and begins. The motion is slow and soothing. She draws out a thin strand of fiber with her fingers, twists it gently, lets the spindle drop and spin. The thread lengthens. When it is long enough, she winds it around the spindle, then draws out more, over and over. The rhythm is like breathing. In, twist, drop, spin, wind. In, twist, drop, spin, wind. The spindle turns. The fire crackles softly. Outside, the sounds of the town drift in. Footsteps, low voices, the occasional clink of metal from a blacksmith shop several streets away. None of it disturbs her. She works in the calm center of her own small world. This was another unusual habit of Roman folks, especially the women. Spinning was not seen as mere labor. It was a quiet, meditative act. Many women kept a spindle in hand almost all day, even when they talked with neighbors or watched children play. The steady turning of the spindle became part of the background of life, like the sound of rain on tiles or the murmur of a fountain. Some said it helped the mind stay peaceful. Others simply did it because it had always been done. Hours pass this way. The sun climbs. The room grows warmer. Livia pauses sometimes to drink water or to check the children. Julia is outside now, helping a neighbor carry water. Lucius is playing with a small wooden cart he made himself, rolling it back and forth across the floor. The sound is soft. Thump, roll, thump, roll. By midday, the house smells of herbs and warm wool. The fire has burned low. Livia banks it with ash so it will keep a gentle heat until evening. She prepares the main meal of the day. Lentil stew with onions and garlic. A little oil, perhaps a piece of bread. Nothing grand, just enough. The family eats together again when Marcus returns. They speak quietly about small things. The price of barley at market. A new baby born to a neighbor. The way the fountain water tasted especially clear today. No one hurries the conversation. Sentences drift, pause, drift again. After the meal they rest. In the warmest part of the day, many Romans closed the shutters, lay down on mats or couches, and let the afternoon pass in quiet. Some slept lightly. Others simply lay still, listening to the town settle into its own drowsy rhythm. This pattern, early rising, simple food, slow work, midday rest, was not enforced by any strict law, yet almost everyone followed it. It was one of those unwritten customs that made Roman life feel steady and calm, even in a city of 1,000,000 souls. As the light begins to soften toward evening, the household stirs again. Livia lights the lamps once more. The small flames appear one by one, pushing the shadows into corners. Marcus returns from his work, his pouch a little heavier with wax tablets covered in neat rows of marks. The children help set out the evening meal, whatever is left from midday, perhaps some cheese, olives, a last piece of bread. They eat by lamplight. The room glows warm and golden. Outside, the street grows quieter. A few voices call good night. A dog barks once, far away. The day winds down, and so the evening arrives, soft and unhurried, just as the morning did. If you feel relaxed with Mind Lepic, you can like if you want. You can subscribe if you feel it helps you relax more. There is no pressure, only quiet. For now, rest here with us. Let your breathing slow. Let your thoughts soften like the lamplight on the wall. When you are ready, just say next or part 2, and we will continue the journey, step by gentle step. The evening light has softened now, the way it does when the sun slips behind the hills and the sky turns, the color of pale honey mixed with ash. In the household we have been visiting, the lamps are burning steadily. Small, steady flames that do not flicker wildly but hold their shape, casting warm circles on the walls and floor. The family has finished the simple evening meal. The bowls have been washed again, dried, and set back on their shelf in the same careful order. No one speaks of rushing to bed or hurrying through the last tasks. The night is allowed to arrive slowly. Livia moves to the small wooden loom in the corner of the main room. It is not large, only wide enough for a tunic or a blanket of modest size. The warp threads are already stretched tight. Pale wool dyed a soft brown from walnut hulls gathered last autumn. She sits on a low stool, her back straight but not stiff, and begins to pass the shuttle back and forth. The motion is smooth, almost liquid. Thread over, thread under, beat gently with the reed. Over, under, beat. The cloth grows row by row, imperceptibly at first, then visibly as the evening deepens. Marcus sits nearby on a cushion stuffed with dried rushes. He has opened his wax tablet again, not for work this time, but to make a small note for tomorrow, a reminder to buy more lamp oil from the vendor who comes through the street on market days. He presses the blunt end of the stylus into the soft wax, making shallow marks that will be smoothed away later if needed. The scratching sound is faint, comforting, like fingernails on dry leaves. When he finishes, he sets the tablet aside and simply watches the fire. The coals have settled into a deep, steady red. Every so often, a small piece of wood collapses with a soft sigh, sending up a brief shower of sparks that vanish before they can travel far. The children are close to the hearth. Julia has brought out a small basket of mending. Nothing urgent, just a torn hem on her brother's tunic and a seam, coming loose on one of her own tunics. She threads a bone needle with wool thread the same color as the cloth, knots it carefully, and begins to stitch. Her stitches are small and even. She has been practicing since she was small enough to sit on her mother's lap and watch. Lucius, younger and less patient with fine work, is playing quietly with a set of small clay, figures his father once made for him, tiny people and animals no bigger than a thumb. He arranges them in rows on the floor, moving them gently, whispering stories to himself that no one else can hear. The stories are never exciting. They are about the figures going to market, buying bread, coming home to sleep. Simple circles of ordinary days. Outside, the town has grown quieter still. The heavy carts that rumble through the streets during daylight have been pulled into yards and stables. The vendors have packed away their stalls. Only a few footsteps echo now and then, someone returning home late from a friend's house, or a night watchman making his slow rounds with a lantern. The watchman's footsteps are measured, never hurried. He calls out the hours in a low, calm voice that carries just far enough to be heard, but not to disturb sleep. Vigilia prima, he says tonight, first watch. The words drift through open windows like smoke. Inside, the family does not speak much. When they do, the words are soft and few. Livia might say, "The loom needs new warp soon," and Marcus nods without looking up from the fire. Julia might ask if she can have another fig tomorrow, and Livia answers, "If the market has good ones." Lucius yawns, long and slow, and no one tells him to stop or cover his mouth. Yawning is allowed here. It is the body's gentle way of saying the day is finished. This was another of those quiet Roman habits we are tracing tonight. Evenings were rarely filled with loud entertainment or forced conversation. In most homes, the family simply stayed together in the same room, each doing a small task by lamplight, sharing the same warmth, the same air scented with wood smoke and wool and olive oil. There were no rules demanding silence, yet silence was common and comfortable. People spoke when there was something worth saying, and often there was not. The quiet itself was part of the evening's texture, soft as the wool under Livia's fingers. As the night deepens, the lamps burn lower. The oil level drops slowly in the small clay reservoirs. The wicks char a little at the tips, and every so often Livia or Marcus will reach over with a small pair of bronze tweezers, pinch off the blackened end, and let the flame brighten again for a moment before it settles back to its gentle glow. The act is done without thought, the way one brushes hair from a sleeping child's face. Julia finishes her mending. She folds the tunic neatly, places it on the chest where clothes are kept, then comes to sit closer to her mother. She rests her head against Livia's arm for a while, watching the shuttle move. Livia does not stop weaving. She simply shifts slightly so the child is more comfortable. Lucius has lain down on his side near the hearth, one of the clay figures still clutched in his hand. His breathing has already begun to slow, the long inhales and exhales of someone drifting toward sleep. Marcus rises quietly. He steps to the doorway that leads to the small courtyard and looks up at the sky. Stars are visible now, sharp and bright in the clear air that follows a warm day. The moon is a thin crescent, low and silver. He stands there for several minutes, hands resting on the doorframe, letting the cool night air touch his face. It carries the faint scent of pine from the hills beyond the town, mixed with the ever-present smell of the Tiber far away when the wind is right. He does not think grand thoughts. He simply breathes. When he returns inside, he closes the shutter halfway. Not fully, because the night air is pleasant, but enough to keep out any stray breeze that might make the lamps gutter. He moves to the sleeping alcove and straightens. The blankets on the wide bed he shares with Livia. The mattress is thick wool pads, layered over a wooden frame, covered with a linen sheet and heavy wool blankets dyed in shades of earth and leaf. He smooths the fabric with slow hands, removing small wrinkles the way one might smooth water after stepping into a still pond. Livia sets the shuttle aside at last. The piece she has woven tonight is only a hand's width longer than when the evening began, but that is enough. Progress in Roman homes was rarely dramatic. Cloth grew the way seasons change, one small row at a time. She winds the excess thread around a small stick, tucks it into the basket, and covers the loom with a clean cloth to keep dust from settling overnight. She turns to the children. Lucius is already asleep, mouth slightly open, one arm flung wide. Julia's eyes are heavy, blinking slowly. Livia helps her to her feet, guides her to the small side room where the children sleep. She lights a single small lamp there, just enough light to see by, and helps Julia out of her daytime tunic and into a lighter sleeping garment of soft, worn linen. Julia lies down on her side of the shared bed, pulls the blanket to her chin. Livia smooths her hair back from her forehead, a gesture so light it is barely felt. "Good night, little one," Livia whispers. Julia murmurs something sleepy in reply, already half gone. Livia returns to Lucius, lifts him carefully, though he is growing heavier every month, and carries him to the bed. He does not wake fully. He simply curls against her shoulder, then settles onto the mattress when she lays him down. She covers him, tucks the blanket around his shoulders, and blows out the small lamp. The room falls into darkness, softened only by the faint glow coming from the main room. Back in the main space, Marcus has banked the hearth for the night. He pushes the remaining coals into a pile, covers them with ash, So they will smolder gently until morning without burning out or flaring up. The room grows dimmer, warmer in a different way. The stored heat of the day, and the fire held in the thick walls and floor. Only 2 lamps remain burning now, one near the sleeping alcove, one near the door. Their light is soft, golden, barely enough to see shapes. Livia and Marcus move through the familiar routine of preparing for sleep. They loosen their tunics, slip off sandals, wash faces and hands in a small basin of water that has been warming near the hearth all evening. The water is still pleasantly warm. They dry with a linen cloth kept for this purpose, fold it neatly, set it aside. They lie down together on the wide bed. The mattress gives softly under their weight. The blankets are heavy, comforting. Livia turns on her side, facing Marcus. He lies on his back for a while, one arm behind his head, staring up at the shadowed ceiling. Neither speaks for a long time. The only sounds are the faint crackle of the banked fire, the distant murmur of the town settling, the slow rhythm of their breathing beginning to match. Sometimes Marcus reaches out and rests a hand on Livia's arm. Sometimes she rests her head against his shoulder. There is no urgency, no need for more. The night holds them both. This, too, was one of the gentle, unusual habits of Roman folks. Sleep was not chaste or forced. People went to bed when their bodies felt ready, not when a clock or a bell commanded it. Lamps were left burning low if anyone needed to rise in the night, to tend a child, to drink water, to step outside to the latrine in the courtyard. But most nights, the household simply slipped into sleep together, the way leaves fall when the wind stops blowing. The lamps burn lower still. The wicks char one last time. One by one, they are extinguished with a quick pinch of wet fingers or a small bronze snuffer. Darkness arrives. Not sudden, not frightening, but gradual and complete. The room fills with the soft black of a moonlit night seen through shutters. Outside, the crescent moon has climbed higher. Its thin light touches the rooftops, the fountain basins, the quiet streets. A bat flits past, silent wings cutting the air. An owl calls once from somewhere in the hills. Low, calm, unhurried. Inside the house, breathing has deepened. 4 people sleep in their separate places, yet all in the same gentle rhythm. The fire under its blanket of ash glows faintly, a single red eye in the dark. The wool on the loom waits. The clay figures lie scattered where Lucius left them. The day has ended without fanfare, without announcement, and now the night stretches long and peaceful ahead. Tomorrow will begin much the same way. Shutters opening slowly, water drawn, fire kindled, porridge stirred, wool spun. The same small acts, repeated, layered one upon another like the thin rows of woven cloth. Nothing grand, nothing loud, just the steady, serene pulse of ordinary Roman life. Let that rhythm carry you now. Let your own breathing slow to match the rise and fall of those distant chests under wool blankets. Let your thoughts soften, blur at the edges, drift like smoke rising from a banked hearth. When the quiet feels deep enough, when your body feels heavy and calm, just say next or part 3, and we will continue walking this gentle path together, one slow step after another. The night has wrapped itself fully around the town now, thick and soft, like a heavy wool cloak drawn close against the cool air. In the household we are following. Sleep has settled over everyone like fine dust after a still day. The banked hearth holds only the faintest red glow beneath its blanket of ash, enough to keep the chill from creeping too deeply into the stone floor overnight. No sound comes from the sleeping alcove except the slow, even breathing of Marcus and Livia. Inhale, Long pause, exhale, another long pause. The children in their small side room breathe in the same unhurried rhythm, chests rising and falling under the blankets without any hurry at all. Outside, the crescent moon has moved across the sky without anyone noticing. Its thin, silver light slips through the half-closed shutters in narrow stripes, touching the edge of the loom, the rim of a clay bowl left on the table, the curve of a sandal left by the door. The stripes move so slowly they seem frozen, yet by morning they will have crossed the room entirely and vanished again. Somewhere far off, a dog barks once, short, muffled, as if it remembered it should not wake the neighborhood. Then silence returns, deeper than before. The streets are empty now except for the occasional soft tread of a night watchman's, sandals on stone, growing fainter as he turns a corner. The fountain in the small square nearby drips steadily into its basin, drop by drop by drop, a sound so regular it becomes part of the night's breathing. Inside, nothing stirs. The wool basket sits untouched beside the loom. The clay figures Lucius played with earlier lie exactly where he left them, tiny shadows stretching long across the floor in the moonlight. The spindle Livia used during the day rests against the wall, thread still wound neatly around it. Everything waits, patient and still. Hours pass this way. 3, perhaps 4. Time does not matter much in these quiet Roman nights. There are no bells ringing the hours inside most homes, no sudden calls to wake. Sleep is allowed to last as long as the body needs it. Then, very gradually, the darkness begins to thin at the edges. The sky outside shifts from deep black to the softest charcoal gray. A single bird, a small sparrow perhaps, chirps once, tentative, as if testing whether the night has truly ended. Another answers from farther away. The sound is tiny, easily swallowed by the quiet. Livia opens her eyes first. She does not move right away. She simply lies there, feeling the warmth of the blankets, the slight weight of Marcus's arm across her waist, the cool air touching her cheek where the blanket has slipped down. Her breathing stays slow. She listens to the house. The faint crackle of the dying embers under ash, the soft rustle of fabric as one of the children shifts in sleep, the distant drip of the fountain outside. Nothing urgent calls her yet. After several long minutes, she slips from under the blankets without making a sound. Her bare feet touch the cool floor. She stands for a moment, letting her body wake fully, then moves to the hearth. She kneels, brushes the ash aside with careful fingers, reveals the small nest of glowing coals still alive beneath. She adds 2 or 3 small sticks from the pile kept nearby, blows gently, once, twice, until tiny flames appear. The new fire is small, polite, not eager to roar. It warms her hands as she holds them out for a moment. She lights the first lamp of the new day with a thin splinter of wood, touched to the fresh flame. The wick catches with its familiar soft pop. Golden light spreads slowly across the room, pushing the gray shadows back into corners. The lamp's glow touches the loom, the wool basket, the folded tunics on the chest. Everything looks the same as yesterday, and the day before, and the day before that. Comforting sameness. Marcus stirs next. He opens his eyes, blinks once at the lamplight, then turns his head to watch Livia moving quietly about the room. He does not speak. He simply watches for a while, letting the quiet morning settle around him. After some time, he sits up slowly, runs a hand through his hair, swings his legs over the side of the bed. His feet find the sandals waiting on the floor. He slips them on, ties the thongs loosely. He joins Livia at the hearth. Together, they sit on low stools for a few minutes, saying nothing, simply sharing the small warmth of the growing fire. The flames are steady now, licking at the new wood without hurry. The smell of burning olive twigs, clean, slightly resinous, fills the air gently. Outside, the town is beginning to wake in the same slow way. Shutters creak open here and there along the street. A woman's voice calls softly to a child. A cartwheel rumbles past, slower than it will later in the day. The baker's boy is already at work. The first faint scent of fresh bread drifts on the cool morning air, finding its way through open windows and half-closed doors. Livia rises at last. She moves to the wooden chest where food is stored. She takes the same small sack of barley from yesterday, measures out enough for 4 bowls of porridge. The grains rattle softly as they fall into the bronze pot. She adds water from the clay jar, sets the pot over the fire. The water heats gradually. She stirs with the long wooden spoon, the motion even and unhurried. The same circles she has made thousands of times before. Marcus steps outside to the small courtyard. The air is crisp, carrying the scent of dew on stone and the faint green smell of the herb plants in their pots. He checks them as he does every morning, fingers brushing over mint leaves, breaking off a small sprig, crushing it lightly between thumb and forefinger. The sharp, clean scent clears the last traces of sleep from his mind. He breathes deeply, once, twice, then returns inside. The children wake slowly. First Julia, rubbing her eyes, sitting up on the shared bed. Her hair is tangled from sleep. She runs her fingers through it without much success. Lucius follows, yawning widely, stretching his arms above his head until his back makes a small pop. Neither speaks yet. They move toward the main room, drawn by the smell of warming, barley, and the soft glow of the lamp and fire. The family gathers around the low table near the hearth. Livia ladles the porridge into the 4 clay bowls. It is plain again today, thick, warm, lightly salted. No honey this morning. The small jar is nearly empty and will be refilled only when market day comes again. They eat in the same quiet way as yesterday. Spoons lift slowly. Each mouthful is chewed without haste. The only sounds are the soft clink of clay on wood, the crackle of the fire, the occasional drip of water from the cistern spout in the corner. While they eat, the light in the room changes again. Dawn has turned to pale gold. Sunlight begins to slant through the open window and the atrium opening above, catching dust motes that float lazily in the beams. The stripes of light move across the floor inch by inch, warming the stone. After the meal, the bowls are washed in the small basin, dried with the linen cloth, set back on the shelf in their usual places. Julia and Lucius fold their blankets, straighten the sleeping mats in their room. Their movements are still sleepy, fingers clumsy with the fabric, but no one corrects them. The tasks are done in their own time. Marcus gathers his wax tablets, stylus, small ink pot. He ties the leather pouch to his belt. Before leaving, he touches Livia's shoulder lightly, kisses the tops of the children's heads. Until later, he says quietly. They nod, small sleepy smiles. He steps out into the street. The morning air is fresh. Neighbors are opening shutters, sweeping doorways, carrying water jars to the fountain. Greetings are exchanged. Short, calm words carried on the cool air. Salvete. Good day. No one rushes past. People walk at an easy pace, sandals scraping softly on stone. Back inside, Livia begins her day's work. She sweeps the floor first, the bundled twig broom moving in slow arcs. Dust rises in gentle clouds, settles again. She carries the sweepings outside, empties them into the street where the refuse cart will collect them later. Then she returns to the wool. The basket waits exactly where she left it. She takes the distaff, tucks a fresh handful of wool under her arm, draws out a thin strand, twists it between her fingers, lets the spindle drop. The spindle turns, thread lengthens, wins, over and over. The rhythm is the same as yesterday, the day before, every day. Twist, drop, spin, wind. Twist, drop, spin, wind. Julia sits nearby with her own small spindle. Practice size, lighter, easier for small hands. She tries to match her mother's rhythm, though her thread breaks now and she has to start again. Livia does not scold. She simply shows once more how to join the broken ends, twisting them together gently until they hold. Julia tries again. The spindle turns. The thread holds a little longer this time. Lucius plays quietly on the floor with his wooden cart, rolling it back and forth across the sun-warmed stones. The sound is soft. Thump, roll, thump, roll. He hums a tuneless little song under his breath, so quietly it is almost lost in the crackle of the fire. Outside, the town fills slowly with daytime sounds. Voices call across courtyards. A hammer rings faintly from a smithy several streets away. Children run past the open door, laughing in short bursts. A vendor pushes a handcart, calling his wares in a calm, carrying voice. Olivae, fresh olives. But he does not shout. The morning holds everything gently still. Livia pauses her spinning every so often to check the children, to add a stick to the fire, to drink a cup of water from the cistern. The water is cool, tasting faintly of clay and the herbs that grow near the spring it comes from. She sips slowly, letting the coolness spread through her. Hours pass in this way. Sun climbing, light shifting across the room, wool lengthening on the spindle, thread growing on the loom if she returns to it later. Nothing dramatic happens. No great events arrive at the door. Just the steady layering of small moments, one upon another, like the thin rows of woven cloth or the slow turning of thread. This was yet another gentle habit of Roman folks. The days were built from repetition, from the same small acts done in the same calm order, spinning wool, sweeping floors, stirring porridge, checking herbs, washing bowls, folding blankets. No one wrote these things down as rules. They simply happened, day after day, in nearly every home from the narrow streets of the town to the farms beyond the walls. The sameness was not dull. It was safe. It was peaceful. It let the mind rest even while the hands moved. As the sun reaches its highest point, the room grows warmer. Livia closes the shutters part way to keep out the strongest heat. The light turns softer, golden, filtered. The fire burns low. She banks it again with ash so it will wait quietly until evening. The midday meal is prepared. Whatever remains from yesterday's stew, perhaps warmed gently over the coals, with bread and a few olives. The family eats together when Marcus returns. Conversation is soft, sparse. They speak of small things. The clear sky today, the neighbor's new kid born last night, the way the mint in the courtyard is growing tall. No one hurries the words. Sentences pause, drift, continue when they feel ready. After the meal they rest. Shutters are drawn closer. The house quiets again. Marcus lies on a mat near the hearth, eyes closed but not sleeping. Livia sits with her spindle once more, turning thread in the dim golden light. The children curl up on cushions, breathing slow. The town outside settles into its own drowsy afternoon rhythm. Fewer footsteps, softer voices, carts moving more slowly. The warmth wraps around everything. Time slows to the pace of breathing, of thread spinning, of coals glowing under ash. Let that same slow warmth wrap around you now. Let your own breathing match the gentle rise and fall of those. Faraway chests under wool blankets. Let thoughts soften, blur, drift like dust motes in a sunbeam. The afternoon has stretched long and warm, the kind of warmth that seeps into stone walls and wooden beams until everything in the house feels softly heavy. In the quiet Roman home we are sharing, the shutters remain half closed, letting in only slanted ribbons of golden light that move so slowly across the floor they seem almost still. The fire, under its layer of ash, holds a gentle, steady heat, no flames leaping, just a low red pulse that keeps the chill of evening from arriving too soon. Livia has set her spindle aside for now. The thread she spun earlier today is wound neatly onto a small bobbin, resting in the basket with the others. She sits near the low table, sorting through a small pile of dried herbs gathered from the courtyard. Pots last week, mint leaves brittle and fragrant, rue stems still holding a sharp green scent, a few sprigs of coriander gone crisp in the sun. She works with slow fingers, crumbling the leaves into separate small clay jars, pressing them down gently so they pack without crushing too much flavor away. The air around her fills with the quiet smells of summer preserved. Clean, earthy, slightly sweet, Marcus has returned from his midday rest on the mat. He sits cross-legged now on a cushion, his wax tablet open on his knee. He is not working, not really, just reviewing the small marks he made earlier, tracing them lightly with the blunt end of the stylus as if reminding himself of tomorrow's tasks. The scratching sound is faint, rhythmic, almost like breathing. Every so often he pauses, looks up at the shaft of light moving across the wall, watches it touch the edge of the loom, then returns to the tablet. Julia is curled on her side near the hearth, a thin wool blanket pulled over her shoulders, even though the room is warm. She is not asleep, but close to it, eyes half closed, breathing slow and deep. Her fingers move idly over the edge of the blanket, tracing the woven border without purpose. Lucius has moved to the open space near the atrium opening, where a thin circle of sky is visible above. He lies on his back, arms behind his head, staring up at the patch of blue turning slowly toward evening gold. Sometimes he points at a cloud drifting past the open roof, murmuring its shape to himself, like a sheep, like a leaf. But his voice is so soft it barely carries across the room. Outside, the town has settled into its deepest afternoon hush. The fountain in the square drips more slowly now, as if even the water is resting. A few voices drift from neighboring courtyards. Low, unhurried conversations about nothing urgent. The height of a neighbor's mint plant, whether the figs will ripen early this year, how the baker's bread seemed a touch lighter today. No one raises a voice. The words float on the warm air like pollen. Inside, time feels stretched thin and gentle. Livia finishes with the herbs. She covers each jar with a small square of linen tied with twine, sets them on the shelf beside the olive oil and the last of the lentils. Then she moves to the hearth, kneels, brushes ash aside just enough to see the coals still glowing. She adds one small stick, nothing more. The fire accepts it quietly. A soft crackle, a brief lift of flame that settles again almost at once. She sits back on her heels for a moment, hands resting in her lap, simply watching the coals. The warmth touches her face like a slow breath. She does not think of grand plans or distant worries. She thinks only of the small circle of heat in front of her, the way it holds steady without asking for anything. Marcus closes his wax tablet. He sets it aside, rises slowly, stretches his arms above his head until his shoulders make a faint, soft pop. He walks to the small basin near the wall, dips a cloth in the cool water, wrings it lightly, and wipes his face and neck. The water leaves his skin feeling fresh, awake in a calm way. He dries with the linen towel, folds it neatly, hangs it on its peg. He moves to the courtyard door, opens it wider for a moment. The late afternoon air drifts in, still warm but carrying the first faint promise of evening coolness. He steps outside, stands in the small paved space, looks up at the sky now tinged with the palest rose along the edges. The herb pots sit in their places, leaves drooping slightly in the heat but still green. He touches the mint again, runs his fingers along a stem, feels the tiny oil glands release their scent. He breathes it in slowly, lets it fill his lungs, then exhales long and easy. Back inside, he closes the door partway again. The room feels protected, held in its own soft pocket of time. Livia has begun preparing the evening meal. Nothing elaborate, just the same lentil stew warmed gently over the coals. A little more water added to loosen it. A few fresh mint leaves, torn and stirred in at the last moment for a touch of brightness. She works standing at the low table, knife of iron moving slowly through an onion, the blade making soft, even thuds against the wooden board. The onion's sharp scent rises briefly, then softens as she adds it to the pot. Garlic follows. 2 small cloves crushed with the flat of the blade, their perfume mingling with the lentils already simmering. The smell spreads through the room, warm and familiar. It wakes Julia fully. She sits up, rubs her eyes, smooths her tunic. Lucius rolls onto his side, props himself on one elbow, watches his mother at work. Neither child speaks yet. They simply let the scent draw them closer to the hearth, to the small circle of warmth and light. When the stew is ready, thick but not dry, fragrant but not overpowering, Livia ladles it into the same 4 clay bowls. She tears pieces from the last of yesterday's bread, places one in each bowl to soak up the broth. Marcus brings the low stools closer. The family sits together again, knees almost touching around the small table. They eat slowly. Spoons move without haste. Each mouthful is held for a moment before swallowing, letting the warmth spread inside. The mint leaves add a cool note that balances the earthiness of the lentils. No one comments on the taste. It does not need words. It is simply the evening meal, the same as so many evenings before. Conversation, when it comes, is sparse and gentle. Marcus mentions that the grain dealer spoke of a good harvest this year, more barley at a fair price. Livia nods, says the mint is growing well and might last through the first cool nights. Julia asks if she can help pick figs when they ripen. Livia says yes, if the tree bears enough. Lucius yawns mid-sentence, then finishes his thought about a bird he saw circling high above the atrium earlier. No one laughs or hurries him. They listen, nod, let the words settle. After the meal, the bowls are cleared, washed in the basin with cool water and a soft cloth. Dried carefully, returned to their shelf. The children help without being asked. Julia carrying the bowls, Lucius holding the cloth while it drips. Their movements are unhurried, sleepy at the edges. Livia lights an extra lamp as the light outside begins to fade. The wick catches, the flame steadies, adds another small pool of gold to the room. Marcus banks the hearth again, pushing coals into a neat pile, covering them with ash. The fire will sleep quietly now until morning. The evening routine begins once more. Julia takes up her mending basket. Today, a small tear in the hem of her own tunic. She threads the needle slowly, stitches with careful, even movements. Lucius arranges his clay figures again, this time in a circle around a tiny clay hearth he made from a broken piece of pot. He moves them gently, whispering their quiet stories. Livia returns to the loom. She sits, picks up the shuttle, resumes the slow over-under motion. The cloth grows another narrow row. Marcus sits nearby, not with his tablet this time, just watching the fire's faint glow through the ash, listening to the soft sounds of the house. The shuttle's gentle tap, the needle pulling through fabric, Lucius's murmured words, the distant drip of the fountain outside. The lamps burn lower. The room grows dimmer, warmer in the way only lamplight and stored heat can make it. Shadows lengthen across the walls, soft and blurred at the edges. Outside, the sky has turned deep indigo, stars beginning to appear one by one in the clear air. The crescent moon rises again, thin and silver, touching the rooftops with pale light. A night breeze moves through the streets, cool now, carrying the scent of pine from the distant hills, the faint smoke of hearth fires being banked across the town. Inside, the family continues their quiet tasks until eyelids grow heavy. Julia sets her mending aside, folds it neatly. Lucius gathers his figures into a small pile, places them carefully in their basket. Livia winds the shuttle thread, covers the loom with its cloth. Marcus smooths the blankets on the wide bed. One by one they prepare for sleep. Faces washed, tunics loosened, sandals set aside. Livia helps the children to their mats, tucks blankets around them, smooths hair from foreheads. Marcus extinguishes the extra lamps, leaving only the smallest. One burning near the alcove, a single point of soft gold in the growing dark. They lie down. Breathing slows. The house settles. The night holds them all gently once more. Let that same gentle holding wrap around you. Let your breathing match the slow rhythm of those far-off sleepers under wool and linen. Let every thought soften, fade, drift away like smoke from a quiet hearth. The evening has deepened into full night once more, the kind of night where the darkness feels thick yet soft, like layers of fine wool folded over the town. In the small Roman household, the last lamp has been snuffed out with a gentle pinch of wet fingers. A faint scent of charred wick lingers for a moment, then fades into the warmer smells of banked coals, wool, and the herbs drying on the shelf. The room is dark now, save for the tiniest red glow, peeking through the ash on the hearth, like a single distant star seen through heavy curtains. Everyone sleeps. Marcus lies on his back, one arm folded under his head, the other resting across his chest. His breathing is deep and even, each exhale carrying the slightest soft sound. Livia curls on her side facing him, knees drawn up slightly, one hand tucked under her cheek. The blanket has slipped down to her waist. She does not stir to pull it higher. Julia and Lucius share their mat in the side room. Julia sleeps with her face half buried in the crook of her arm, hair spilling across the pillow like dark threads. Lucius has turned onto his stomach, one leg kicked free of the blanket, small snores rising now and then. Quiet, rhythmic, almost like the drip of the fountain outside. The house itself seems to breathe with them. The walls of thick plaster and stone hold the day's warmth for hours after sunset. The wooden beams overhead creak once in a while as the night air cools them, but the sound is faint, familiar, nothing to wake anyone. The loom stands silent in its corner, threads motionless. The spindle leans against the wall exactly where it was set down. The clay jars of herbs sit in their row, leaves inside still releasing the last traces of their scent into the still air. Outside, the crescent moon has climbed high. Its pale light filters through the half-open shutters in thin, silvery lines that cross the floor in slow diagonals. The lines shift imperceptibly as the moon moves, first touching the edge of the low table, then the base of the loom, then fading as clouds drift across the sky far away. A night breeze moves through the narrow streets, rustling dry leaves that have gathered in corners. carrying the distant scent of pine and river water from beyond the town walls. The fountain in the square continues its steady drip. Drop, pause, drop, pause. A sound so regular it blends into the background of sleep. A stray cat pads past the house. Pause silent on the stone. Pauses at the door for a moment as if listening, then continues on its way. Somewhere farther off, an owl calls twice. Low, calm notes that echo softly against the rooftops before dissolving into quiet. Hours pass without change. The red glow under the ash dims, gradually but never quite goes out. The night air grows cooler, slipping in through cracks around the shutters, brushing across sleeping faces without disturbing them. No one wakes. No one turns restlessly. Sleep holds them all in its gentle, even grip. Then, very slowly, the darkness begins to thin again at the edges. The sky outside shifts from black to deepest blue, then to the softest gray. A single bird chirps. Short, hesitant, as if surprised to find itself awake so early. Another answers from a different rooftop. The sounds are tiny, spaced far apart, easily ignored by sleeping ears. Livia opens her eyes in the half-light. She lies still for a long time, listening to the house. Marcus's steady breathing beside her, the faint rustle of the children shifting in their sleep, the soft crackle of the hearth coals settling under ash. She feels the coolness on her cheek, the warmth still trapped under the blankets. No hurry rises in her. She simply breathes, letting the morning arrive on its own. After many minutes, she slips from the bed without sound. Her bare feet meet the cool floor. She stands, stretches slowly, arms rising, back arching just enough to ease the night's stiffness, then moves to the hearth. She kneels, brushes ash aside with the flat of her hand, reveals the small nest of embers still alive. She adds 3 thin sticks, blows once, twice, gently. Flames appear, small, polite, flickering without haste. The new warmth spreads across her palms as she holds them out. She lights the first lamp. The wick catches with its quiet pop. Golden light blooms slowly, touching walls, loom, wool basket, sleeping faces. The room wakes in pieces. First the hearth, then the table, then the corners where shadows had gathered. Marcus stirs next. He opens his eyes, sees the lamp glow, watches Livia moving in the soft light. He does not rise immediately. He lies there, letting the quiet settle over him again, feeling the day begin without words. The children wake gradually, Julia first, eyes blinking open, a small yawn escaping. She sits up, rubs her face with both hands, hair tangled more than yesterday. Lucius follows, rolling onto his back, stretching arms and legs wide until his fingers brush the wall. He yawns so widely his jaw cracks softly. Neither speaks. They simply move toward the warmth of the fire, drawn by instinct. Livia has already set the bronze pot over the coals. Water heats slowly. She adds barley from the sack, stirs with the wooden spoon in slow circles. The grains swell, the porridge thickens. The smell rises. Warm grain, faint smoke, olive oil from yesterday's lamp still clinging to the air. Marcus joins her at the hearth. They sit together on low stools, watching the pot, saying nothing. The fire crackles softly. The lamp flame trembles, steadies. Outside, the first cartwheels rumble past. Slow, early, carrying bread or water or wood to market. When the porridge is ready, Livia ladles it into bowls. Plain again, salted lightly, warm. The family gathers around the table. They eat in silence at first, then with a few quiet words. Marcus mentioning the sky looks clear for drying wool. Livia nodding that the mint needs water today. Julia asks if she can spin more thread after breakfast. Livia says yes. Lucius yawns again, spoon halfway to his mouth. Bowls are washed, dried, shelved. Blankets folded, mats straightened. Marcus gathers his pouch, kisses foreheads, steps out into the morning street. Neighbors greet him softly. The town wakes in the same gentle rhythm. Shutters opening, water drawn, fires kindled. Livia sweeps the floor, carries dust outside. She returns to the wool basket, takes the distaff, draws thread, twists, drops the spindle. The rhythm resumes. Twist, drop, spin, wind. Julia sits nearby with her small spindle, trying to match. Lucius rolls his wooden cart across the sun-warmed floor. Thump, roll, thump. The day unfolds exactly as the ones before. Sun climbs, light shifts, wool lengthens, herbs dry, meals prepare. Rest comes at midday. Evening arrives soft and slow. Nothing changes. Nothing needs to. The habits hold steady, small, repeated, calm, like the turning of a spindle, the drip of a fountain, the slow breath of sleep. Let that steady rhythm carry into you now. Let your breathing slow to match. Let every small sound fade, every thought soften until only quiet remains. The morning has arrived again in its familiar, unhurried way. The light now fully golden and spreading. Across the stone floor like warm honey, poured slowly from a jar. In the household, the first lamp still burns near the hearth, its flame steady and low after the long night. The banked coals have been stirred back to gentle life, sending up thin threads of smoke that curl lazily toward the open atrium above. Livia stands by the small window that looks onto the narrow street, shutters pushed wide to let the fresh air move through. She breathes in deeply. The coolness of early morning mixed with the faint wood smoke from neighboring hearths, the distant smell of fresh-baked bread drifting up from the public ovens. Several lanes away, her tunic is plain wool, sleeves rolled to the elbows, hair tied back loosely with a strip of linen. She does not rush to begin the day's tasks. She simply stands there for several long minutes, letting the light touch her face, letting the sounds of the waking town filter in. Marcus is already up, sitting on a low stool near the hearth. He has his wax tablet open again, but today he is not marking tallies or reminders. Instead, he is carving a small notch into a thin wooden stick, one of the tally sticks he uses sometimes for keeping count of household supplies. The knife moves slowly, shaving off tiny curls of wood that fall onto the floor in soft spirals. Each notch is even, deliberate. He counts under his breath. Quiet numbers in Latin, barely audible. When he finishes, he sets the stick aside with the others in a small bundle tied with twine. The children are stirring in their room. Julia sits up first, stretching her arms wide, yawning so long her eyes water. She smooths her sleeping tunic, runs fingers through her hair to loosen the tangles. Lucius wakes more slowly, rolling over, burying his face in the blanket for a moment, then peeking out with one eye. He makes a small sleepy sound, half groan, half sigh, before pushing himself upright. Livia turns from the window when she hears them. She moves to the side room, helps them fold their blankets. Julia's neatly squared. Lucius's a little rumpled, but accepted without comment. She guides them to the main room, where the fire has grown warmer. They sit on cushions near the hearth, knees drawn up, letting the heat soak into their bare legs. Breakfast is prepared in the same slow rhythm. Barley porridge again, this time with a few dried figs, chopped small and stirred in, the last of the winter store, saved for mornings like this. Livia adds a thin drizzle of honey from the small clay jar. just enough to sweeten without excess. The pot simmers gently over the coals. She stirs every few minutes, the wooden spoon making soft, scraping sounds against the bronze. When it is ready, she ladles the porridge into bowls. Steam rises in slow curls. The family gathers. Marcus setting his tally stick aside, the children scooting closer. They eat without hurry. Spoons dip, lift, pause. The figs are soft and chewy, the honey warm on the tongue. No one speaks much, a quiet word now and then. Marcus noting the figs were good this year. Livia agreeing the honey jar will need refilling soon. After the meal, bowls washed and dried. The day's small tasks begin to layer themselves one upon another. Livia takes the broom of twigs, sweeps the floor in wide, even arcs. Dust rises gently, settles. She carries it outside, empties it into the street. Returning, she checks the water in the cistern. Still enough for today. Perhaps tomorrow too, if used carefully. She moves to the courtyard next. The herb pots need attention. She pours water from a small clay jug over each one. Mint first, then rue, then coriander. The water soaks in slowly. Dark patches spreading across the dry soil. She pinches off a few yellowing leaves, crushes them between her fingers, lets the scent rise. The mint is strongest today, sharp and clean. Inside again, she returns to the wool. The basket is fuller now from days of spinning. She selects a fresh handful, soft, pale, still carrying a faint lanolin smell. She tucks it under her arm, draws out a strand, twists it between thumb and forefinger, lets the spindle drop. It spins, thread lengthens, wins. The motion is hypnotic in its sameness. Twist, drop, spin, wind. Julia joins her with the small practice spindle, trying once more to keep the thread even. It breaks twice. She sighs softly, but starts again without frustration. Lucius has his wooden cart out again. He pushes it across the floor, making quiet rumbling sounds under his breath. Sometimes he stops to arrange small pebbles as cargo, loading them carefully, then unloading at the other end of the room. His play is slow, thoughtful. No sudden movements, no loud crashes. Marcus has gone to the market street nearby. Not far, just a short walk down the lane. He carries a small, empty sack and a few bronze coins tied in a cloth. The market is not crowded yet. Early hours are quieter. He greets the vendor he knows, a man with a stall of grains and dried fruits. They speak briefly, voices low. Marcus buys more barley, a small handful of almonds, a wedge of hard cheese wrapped in leaf. He pays without haggling much. The price is fair, the vendor honest. He returns home with the sack over his shoulder, steps light. When he enters the house, he sets the purchases on the table. Livia looks up from her spinning, nods approval. The almonds will be saved for special days. The cheese grated into stew tonight, perhaps. Nothing is used immediately. Everything waits its turn. The sun climbs higher. The room warms. Shutters are adjusted to keep the strongest light out. The family rests in the midday heat. Marcus lying on a mat near the atrium, eyes closed. Livia sitting with her back against the wall, spindle idle in her lap. The children curled together on cushions, breathing slow. Outside, the town quiets again. Footsteps fade. Voices drop to murmurs. The fountain drips. A cart passes slowly. The afternoon stretches, warm and still. Later, as the light begins to slant golden once more, the household stirs. Livia prepares the evening meal. Lentils again, this time with onion, and a little of the new cheese crumbled in. The smell fills the room slowly, comforting. Marcus helps by adding wood to the fire. Small sticks, placed carefully so the flames rise evenly. They eat by lamplight as the sky darkens outside. Conversation drifts. Soft words about the market, the herbs, the wool. No rush, no hurry. After, lamps tended, fire banked, children settled. The night arrives gentle and complete. The same patterns hold. Spinning, sweeping, stirring, resting, sleeping. Day after day, quiet and steady, like thread wound on a spindle, row after row on a loom. Let that endless, gentle repeating carry you deeper now. Let your breathing follow it. Slow, even, calm. Let every small detail fade into softness until only peace remains. The night has passed once more in its quiet, unbroken flow. The darkness holding the household like a soft, heavy blanket drawn close. In the small Roman home, sleep has been deep and undisturbed. The banked hearth coals have held their faint red glow all through the hours, never flaring, never dying out completely. The thin crescent moon has crossed the sky unseen, its pale light slipping through shutter, cracks in narrow, silver threads that moved slowly across the floor, touching one object after another before fading with the coming dawn. Now the first gray light begins to seep in again, soft and cool, turning the room from black to deepest charcoal, then to muted dove gray. A single bird calls outside, short, clear, repeated twice before falling silent. The fountain in the square drips its steady rhythm, drop after drop after drop, the sound carrying faintly through the still air. Livia wakes first, as always. She lies motionless for a long stretch, eyes open in the half-dark, feeling the familiar weight of the wool blanket across her body, the slight warmth of Marcus beside her, the cool touch of air on her uncovered shoulder. Her breathing stays slow, matching the house's own quiet rhythm. She listens. The soft crackle under the ash, the distant cartwheel rumbling far down the street, the faint rustle of fabric as one of the children shifts in sleep. After many minutes, she slips from under the covers without a sound. Bare feet meet the cool stone floor. She stands, lets her body adjust to the upright position, then moves to the hearth. Kneeling, she brushes ash aside with careful fingers, reveals the small nest of embers. 3 thin sticks placed gently. A soft blow, once, twice. Flames appear, tiny and polite, spreading warmth in slow circles across her palms. The first lamp is lit. Wick catches with its familiar pop. Golden light blooms, pushing shadows back inch by inch. The room wakes gradually. Hearth first, then table, then loom in the corner. Then the sleeping faces of Marcus and the children. Marcus opens his eyes next. He watches Livia in the lamplight for a while without moving, then sits up slowly. He stretches, arms raised, back arching gently, before swinging his legs over the bed's edge. Sandals found, tied loosely. He joins her at the hearth, sitting on his low stool. They share the small warmth in silence, letting the new day settle around them like dust after a breeze. The children wake in their own time. Julia first, eyes blinking, small yawn, hair falling across her face. Lucius follows, rolling over, stretching, making a quiet, sleepy sound before pushing himself up. They move to the main room, drawn by the fire's glow and the smell of warming grain. Porridge is prepared again, barley measured, water added, pot set over coals. Livia stirs slowly, circles even and patient. Figs are gone now. Today it is plain, lightly salted, comforting in its sameness. Bowls filled, family gathered. They eat without words at first, then with a few soft murmurs. Marcus saying the sky looks clear, Livia nodding that the wool needs carding soon. Bowls washed, dried, shelved. Blankets folded, mats straightened. Marcus gathers his pouch, steps out into the morning street. Greetings exchanged quietly with neighbors. Short words carried on cool air. Livia sweeps, carries dust outside, returns to check the cistern, waters the herbs in the courtyard. Mint leaves glistening with droplets, rue stems dark against wet soil. She sits with the wool basket. Fresh handful selected, drawn out, twisted, spindle dropped. Thread lengthens, wins. Julia joins with her small spindle, thread breaking less often now. Lucius pushes his wooden cart. Thump, roll, thump, arranging pebbles as cargo, unloading at the far end. Sun climbs, room warms, shutters adjusted. Midday rest comes. Marcus on his mat, Livia with spindle idle, children curled on cushions. Town quiets, fountain drips slower. Afternoon stretches warm and still. Evening arrives gentle. Stew warmed. Lentils, onion, a crumble of cheese, eaten by lamplight. Words few, soft. Lamps tended, fire banked, children settled. Night wraps around once more. The days continue this way, each one layered upon the last like rows of woven cloth, each thread the same length, each stitch even. Spinning, sweeping, stirring, resting, sleeping. No variation needed. The repetition itself is the comfort, the calm, the gentle, unchanging pulse of ordinary Roman life. Let that unchanging pulse carry deeper into you. Let your breathing follow. Slow, steady, soft. Let every small sound fade away. Every thought dissolve like smoke rising from quiet coals. The quiet cycle turns again, as it has turned for so many mornings before this one. The night has released its hold slowly, the darkness thinning to gray, then to pale gold at the edges of the shutters. In the small household, sleep lingers longest in the children's room. Julia curled tightly under her blanket, one hand clutching the edge as if holding on to the dream she was having. Lucius sprawled on his back, mouth slightly open, small soft snores rising and falling like tiny waves on a still pond. Livia wakes in the half-light. She remains lying still for a long while, eyes tracing the familiar cracks in the ceiling plaster, feeling the gradual shift of warmth under the blankets, against the cool air that has slipped in overnight. No thought rushes through her mind. She simply exists in the moment between sleep and waking, letting her body remember itself. Shoulders, arms, legs, the slight ache in her lower back from yesterday's hours at the loom. When she finally moves, it is without haste. Blankets folded back carefully, bare feet finding the floor. Cool stone familiar under her soles. She stands, stretches slowly, arms lifted high, then lowered, neck tilted side to side until the stiffness eases. Then to the hearth, ash brushed away. Embers still alive, faint red under gray. 3 small sticks laid across them, gentle blows until flames catch. Small, steady, polite. The warmth spreads in slow rings across her hands, her face, lamp lit. Flame trembles, steadies. Golden pools appear on walls, floor, loom, wool basket. The room begins to remember its shapes. Marcus wakes to the light. He opens his eyes, watches the soft glow touch Livia's profile as she tends the fire. He lies there a few minutes longer, breathing in the scent of fresh kindling smoke, then sits up. Stretch. Sandals. He joins her at the hearth. They sit together on low stools, knees almost touching, sharing the small circle of warmth in perfect silence. The children wake gradually, Julia first, eyes opening slowly, blinking against the lamp glow. A long yawn. Hair smoothed back with sleepy fingers. Lucius next, rolling over, rubbing his face, making a quiet murmuring sound before pushing himself upright. They pad to the main room barefoot, drawn by fire and light. Porridge again, barley measured into the pot, water added from the cistern jar, set over coals. Livia stirs, slow circles, patient. No figs today, no honey. Plain, warm, salted, just enough. The smell rises gently. Grain and smoke and the faint olive oil memory from the lamp. Family gathers around the low table. Bowls filled, spoons lifted slowly. They eat in the same calm quiet. A few soft words drift across the meal. Marcus, mentioning the neighbor's roof repair, looks finished. Livia, saying the coriander in the courtyard is ready to harvest soon. Julia asks if she can help with the loom later. Livia nods. Lucius yawns mid-bite. Continues eating without embarrassment. Bowls cleared, washed in cool water, dried with linen cloth, shelved in their usual places. Blankets folded, mats straightened. Marcus ties his pouch to his belt, kisses foreheads lightly, steps out into the morning street. Neighbors greet him. Quiet, salvete, small nods. The town wakes in gentle layers. Shutters opening one by one. Water jars clinking at the fountain. Bread scent growing stronger. Livia sweeps. Dust rises in soft clouds. Settles. Carried outside, returned. Courtyard next. Water poured over herb pots. Mint leaves shiver under droplets. Rue darkens with moisture. Coriander stems gleam. She sits with wool. Handful selected. Drawn out thin. Twisted. Spindle dropped. Spins. Thread. Lengthens. Wins. Julia. Joins. Small spindle turning. Thread holding longer each day. Lucius rolls wooden cart. Thump. Roll. Thump. Pebbles loaded. Unloaded. Reloaded. Sun rises higher. Room warms. Shutters half closed. Midday rest. Marcus returned, lying on mat. Livia, spindle, idle, in lap. Children curled close together, breathing slow. Town quiets. Fountain drips. Voices murmur. Afternoon stretches long, warm, still. Evening comes soft. Stew prepared. Lentils, onion, herbs from courtyard. Cheese crumbled small, eaten by lamplight. Words few, gentle. Lamps lowered. Fire banked. Children tucked in. Night arrives. Day after day the pattern holds. Spinning thread. Sweeping dust. Stirring porridge. Watering herbs. Resting in heat. Eating simple food. Sleeping under wool. Nothing new arrives. Nothing is needed. The repetition is the peace, the slow, steady turning of ordinary life. Like a spindle never hurried. Like a loom growing cloth, one quiet row at a time. Let that slow turning carry you now. Let your breathing match it. Gentle, even, soft. Let every thought loosen, drift, fade into the warm dark behind your eyes. The pattern continues without break, without need for change, as steady as the slow turning of thread on a spindle, or the drip of water from a fountain basin. Another night has passed in the same soft darkness, the household wrapped in deep, even sleep. The coals under ash held their quiet glow through every hour. The crescent moon traced its arc above the tiled roofs unseen. The night breeze carried faint pine scent through shutter cracks but disturbed nothing. Now the gray pre-dawn light returns, thin and cool, seeping into corners like slowly rising mist. A single bird calls once, clear, brief, then silence folds back around it. Inside the house, breathing remains slow, chests rising and falling under wool blankets in perfect, unhurried rhythm. Livia opens her eyes in the dimness. She stays motionless a long time, feeling the familiar textures. The rough weave of the blanket against her skin, the slight give of the mattress pads beneath her, the cool air brushing her cheek where hair has slipped free. No urgency pulls at her. She lets the moment stretch, lets her body wake in its own time. When she moves at last, it is gentle. Blankets eased back, feet finding floor. Standing, slow stretch, arms high, then down, neck rolled softly side to side, to the hearth. Ash parted with careful hand, embers still red beneath. 3 thin sticks placed, gentle breath until flames catch. Small, calm, spreading warmth without haste. Lamp wick touched to new flame. Pop. Golden light blooms across stone, wood, wool. Marcus wakes to the glow, eyes open, watches Livia's quiet movements for several minutes, then sits, stretches, sandals tied, joins her at hearth. They sit close on low stools, sharing the small heat, saying nothing. The fire crackles softly. Lamp flame holds steady. Children wake gradually. Julia, eyes blinking slow, yawn stretching wide, hair pushed back with sleepy palm. Lucius, rolling once, twice, then pushing up with small groan, rubbing face. They come barefoot to main room, settle near fire warmth. Porridge made again, barley scooped, water poured, pot over coals, stirred in slow circles. Plain today, salt only, no fruit, no honey. Smell rises warm, familiar, comforting. Bowls filled. Family sits around low table. Spoons move without hurry. Quiet words pass once or twice. Marcus notes the fountain water tasted. Clearer this morning. Livia says the mint leaves are ready to dry soon. Julia asks softly if she may try the big loom today. Livia nods once. Bowls washed in cool basin water. Dried carefully. Returned to shelf. Blankets folded. Mats smoothed. Marcus gathers pouch, touches foreheads gently, steps into Morning Street. Soft greetings exchanged with neighbors. Short, calm. Town wakes layer by layer. Shutters creaking open. Jars clinking at fountain. Bread scent drifting stronger. Livia sweeps floor. Wide arcs, dust rising gentle, carried outside. Courtyard, water over herbs, mint shivers. Rue darkens, coriander gleams wet. She sits, wool basket opened, handful taken, soft, pale, drawn thin, twisted between fingers, spindle dropped, turns, thread grows, wins. Julia takes, small spindle, thread holds steady longer now. Lucius rolls cart, thump, roll, thump. Pebbles arranged, rearranged, quiet play. Sun climbs, light warms room, shutters half closed against heat. Midday rest, Marcus on mat, eyes closed. Livia spindle still in lap. Children curled near, breathing deep and slow. Town hushes, fountain drips, voices soften to murmurs. Afternoon holds long, warm, still. Evening comes without announcement. Stew warmed, lentils thickened, onion softened, fresh mint torn in at end. Eaten in lamplight circle. Conversation sparse, gentle. Weather, herbs, small plans for tomorrow that are no different from today. Lamps lowered one by one. Fire banked under ash. Children guided to mats, tucked in. Blankets smoothed. Night settles over house again. The days repeat like this. Each morning the same kindling. Same stirring, same spinning. Each afternoon the same rest. Each evening the same quiet meal and lamps dimming. No day stands out. No day needs to. The sameness is the gentle strength. the unchanging rhythm that lets the mind rest, the body ease, the heart stay calm. Let that same unchanging rhythm move through you now. Let your breathing fall into its slow, even pace. Let every small detail blur, soften, fade, until only deep quiet remains. The days keep unfolding in their gentle, identical way, each one a soft echo of the one before, each one settling over the household, like another layer of fine wool, cloth draped across a loom. The night has once again given way to dawn without fanfare, the darkness lifting so slowly it feels more like a sigh than a change. The crescent moon has set hours ago. The sky outside is the palest gray, then faint rose, then gold at the edges. Livia wakes in the quiet dimness. She lies still longer than usual today, eyes open but unfocused, simply feeling the slow rise and fall of her own chest, the faint warmth still trapped in the blankets, the cool breath of air moving through the half-open shutter. No thought forms fully. No plan presses forward. She allows the morning to arrive in its own time. Eventually she moves, blankets eased aside, feet to floor, standing, slow stretch, arms lifted, shoulders rolled, back eased, to the hearth, ash brushed away gently, embers glowing soft red, 3 small sticks laid across, breath blown lightly until flames appear, tiny, steady, spreading warmth in patient circles, lamp lit with splinter touched to flame. Soft pop. Golden light grows across the room, touching one familiar shape after another. Marcus wakes to the light. He watches from the bed for several long minutes. Livia's quiet, silhouette against the hearth glow, the small movements of her hands as she tends the fire. Then he sits up, stretch, sandals found and tied. He joins her. They sit together near the coals, knees close, breathing in the same slow rhythm, sharing the warmth without a single word. The children stir in their room, Julia first, eyes opening slowly, blinking at the soft light filtering in, a long, quiet yawn, hair smoothed back with palm. Lucius wakes more gradually, turning over once, twice, then pushing up with small sleepy sound, rubbing eyes with fists. They pad barefoot to the main room, settle near the hearth warmth, knees drawn up. Porridge prepared once more, barley measured carefully, water added from cistern jar, pot placed over coals, stirred in wide, even circles, plain again, salt only, the last traces of honey long gone. The smell rises warm and simple. Grain, smoke, faint olive memory. Bowls filled. Family gathers around low table, spoons lifted slowly. They eat in calm silence, broken only by the soft clink of clay, the gentle crackle of fire. A few quiet words drift across the meal. Marcus saying the neighbor mentioned, figs might ripen early this season. Livia replying the courtyard tree looks promising. Julia asks in a small voice if she can card wool today. Livia nods once. Lucius yawns again, continues eating without pause. Bowls washed in cool water, dried with linen shelved neatly. Blankets folded, mats smoothed. Marcus ties pouch to belt, touches foreheads lightly, steps into Morning Street. Soft greetings with neighbors. Short, calm words on cool air. Town wakes gently, shutters opening, fountain jars clinking, bread scent growing. Livia sweeps floor. Slow arcs, dust rising soft, carried outside. Courtyard, water poured over herbs. Mint leaves glisten. Rue darkens. Coriander stems shine with droplets. She sits with wool basket, handful taken, soft, pale, drawn thin between fingers, twisted gently, spindle dropped, turns slowly, Thread lengthens. Wins. Julia joins. Small spindle turning. Thread steadier now. Lucius rolls wooden cart. Thump, roll, thump. Pebbles loaded and unloaded in quiet patterns. Sun climbs higher. Room warms gradually. Shutters adjusted to soften strongest light. Midday rest arrives. Marcus returned, lying on mat with eyes closed. Livia spindle resting in lap. Children curled together on cushions, breathing deep and even. Town hushes. Fountain drips slower. Voices fade to murmurs. Afternoon holds warm, long, still. Evening comes soft as always. Stew warmed. Lentils, onion softened further. Fresh rue leaves torn in for faint sharpness. Eaten in lamplight's golden circle. Words few, gentle. Weather turning slightly cooler soon. Wool almost ready for weaving. Small observations about the day that mirror every day before. Lamps lowered one by one. Fire banked carefully under ash. Children guided to sleeping mats. Blankets tucked. Smoothed. Night settles over the house again. Thick and peaceful. The repetition never falters. Morning kindling. Porridge stirring. Wool spinning. Herb watering. Midday rest. Evening stew. Lamps dimming. Sleep under wool. Each act the same length, the same tempo, the same quiet purpose. Nothing breaks the pattern. Nothing needs to. The sameness wraps the days like a soft, endless thread. Steady, calm, deeply soothing. Let that endless, soft thread wind through you now. Let your breathing follow its slow, even turn. Let every remaining thought loosen, drift away, dissolve into the warm, dark quiet. The gentle wheel of days keeps turning. Each rotation so smooth and quiet, it barely registers as movement at all. Another night has slipped away unnoticed. The darkness thick and soft, until the first pale threads of light begin to separate sky from rooftop. The crescent moon faded hours ago. Stars dimmed one by one without anyone watching. Inside the house, sleep has been complete. Deep, dreamless for most of the hours. The kind of rest that leaves no trace except a faint warmth lingering in the limbs. Livia wakes in the gray half-light. She does not move right away. She lies on her side, eyes open but still, feeling the slow rhythm of her own breathing, the slight weight of blanket across hip, the coolness gathered along the edge of the mattress where air has found its way in. The house breathes with her. Soft creak of settling beams overhead, faint rustle of wool in the basket, distant drip of the fountain, carrying through open shutters like a metronome, set to the slowest possible tempo. Minutes pass, many minutes. Only then does she ease the blankets back, feet to floor, standing, arms lifted in slow stretch, shoulders rolled once forward, once back, neck tilted gently side to side until the last night stiffness melts away. To the hearth, ash parted with flat of hand, embers still holding faint red life beneath gray blanket, 3 thin sticks placed across them, one, then another, then the third. Breath blown softly, once, twice, 3 times if needed. Flames appear small and polite, licking upward without hurry, warmth spreading in patient rings across palms, then wrists, then forearms. Lamp wick touched to new flame. Soft pop. Golden circle grows across stone floor, climbs wall, touches loom, wool basket, folded tunics on chest. Room remembers its shapes once more. Marcus wakes to the light. He remains lying still a while, watching Livia's quiet silhouette move against the hearth glow, then sits up slowly. Stretch, arms high, back arched just enough. Sandals slipped on, thongs tied loose. He joins her at hearth. They sit on low stools, knees near, sharing small heat in wordless calm. Fire crackles gently. Lamp holds steady. Children wake in their room. Julia first, eyes opening slow, blinking against soft gold filtering through doorway. Long, quiet yawn. Hair pushed from face with sleepy hand. Lucius next, turning over, burying face in blanket a moment, then pushing up with small murmur, rubbing eyes. They come barefoot, settle near hearth warmth, knees pulled close to chest. Porridge made once again, barley scooped into bronze pot, water poured from cistern jar, pot set over coals, stirred in wide, patient circles, plain today, salt only. The memory of figs and honey distant now. Smell rises warm, simple, familiar. Grain warmed through, faint smoke threading through it. Olive oil ghost from lamp still clinging to air. Family gathers around low table, bowls filled. Steam curls upward slow, spoons lifted without haste. They eat in the same calm quiet. Soft words appear now and then. Marcus noting neighbors. New kid goat is growing fast. Livia saying rue leaves might be ready to dry tomorrow. Julia asks quietly if she can help twist wool for the loom. Livia nods once. Lucius yawns between bites. Continues without pause. Bowls washed in cool basin water. Dried with linen cloth folded neatly. Returned to shelf in exact places. Blankets folded. Mats smoothed flat. Marcus gathers pouch. Touches each forehead lightly. Soft press of lips. Gentle. Steps into Morning Street. Neighbors offer short, calm greetings. Salvete carried on cool air. Town wakes in gentle layers. Shutters creaking open one by one. Water jars clinking at fountain. Bread scent drifting stronger from public ovens. Livia sweeps floor. Wide, slow arcs with twig broom. Dust rising in soft clouds, settling again. Carried outside in small pile. Courtyard next. Water jug lifted, poured over herb pots one at a time. Mint leaves shiver under droplets. Rue darkens with moisture. Coriander stems gleam briefly wet. She returns inside, sits near wool basket. Handful selected. Soft, pale fibers still carrying faint lanolin scent. Drawn out thin between fingers. Twisted gently. Spindle dropped. Turns slowly at first, then steady. Thread lengthens inch by inch. Winds onto bobbin. Julia sits close with small practice spindle. Thread holds longer each day. Breaks less often. Lucius rolls wooden cart across sun-warmed floor. Thump. Roll. Thump. Pebbles arranged in quiet rows. Then gathered again. Sun climbs higher. Room warms gradually. Shutters half closed to gentle strongest rays. Midday rest comes without announcement. Marcus returned from morning tasks. Lying on mat near atrium. Eyes closed. Livia spindle idle in lap. Head resting against wall. Children curled together on cushions, breathing deep and even. Town hushes deeper. Fountain drips slower still. Voices fade to distant murmurs. Afternoon stretches long, warm, motionless. Evening arrives soft and unhurried. Stew warmed over coals. Lentils thickened further. Onion melted soft. Fresh mint torn in at very end for cool note against earthiness. Eaten in small golden circle of lamplight. Conversation sparse, gentle. Sky perhaps clouding tomorrow. Wool thread almost enough for new piece. Small observations that echo every evening before. Lamps lowered one after another. Fire banked carefully. Coals pushed into neat pile. Ash scattered over top. Children guided to sleeping mats. Blankets tucked around small bodies, smoothed flat. Night settles over house again. Thick, peaceful, complete. The pattern never wavers. Morning coals stirred. Porridge circles stirred. Wool twisted and spun. Herbs watered, drop by drop. Midday, quiet rest. Evening stew warmed. Lamps dimmed. Sleep under heavy wool. Each day the same length, same tempo, same gentle purpose. The repetition itself is the comfort, the slow, unchanging thread that binds one quiet moment to the next, wrapping the household in calm that never needs to be explained. Let that same slow, unchanging thread wind deeper through you now. Let your breathing follow its patient turn. Gentle, even, soft. Let every last small thought loosen, drift, dissolve into the warm, dark quiet behind closed eyes. The quiet turning of time continues without pause or variation, each dawn arriving as softly as the one before, each evening folding over the household in the same gentle darkness. The night has passed again in deep, unbroken rest. The coals under ash holding their faint, red pulse through every hour, the shutters allowing only the thinnest threads of moonlight to cross the floor before fading with the stars. No sound disturbed the sleep, no dream quickened the breathing, only the slow, even rise and fall of chests under wool blankets. 4 people held in the same calm rhythm. Now the gray light returns, thin and cool at first, seeping through cracks around the wooden shutters, until the room shifts from black to muted charcoal, then to the softest dove gray. A single bird calls outside. Brief, clear, then silence again. The fountain in the square drips its endless, slow cadence, drop after drop after drop, the sound drifting in like a distant lullaby that never quite ends. Livia wakes in the half-dark. She lies still a long while, eyes open but resting on nothing in particular, feeling the familiar textures, the slight roughness of linen sheet against skin, the weight of wool blanket across legs, the cool air touching one uncovered shoulder. She listens without effort, the faint, settling creak of beams overhead, the soft rustle of wool fibers in the basket nearby, the distant fountain drip blending with her own slow breathing. No hurry rises, no thought demands attention. She simply allows the moment to hold her. Many minutes pass before she moves, blankets eased back carefully, feet finding the cool stone floor. Standing, arms lifted in slow stretch, shoulders rolled forward, then back, neck tilted gently until the last trace of night stiffness dissolves. To the hearth, ash brushed aside with flat palm, embers still glowing faint red beneath gray cover. 3 thin sticks placed, 1, then the second, then the third. Breath blown softly, once, twice. Flames appear small and steady, warmth spreading in patient circles across hands, then face. Lamp wick touched to new flame. Soft pop. Golden light blooms slowly, touching hearth first, then low table, then loom in corner, then wool basket, then folded tunics waiting on chest. Room remembers itself piece by piece. Marcus wakes to the growing glow. He lies still a while, watching Livia's quiet silhouette against hearthlight, then sits up slowly. Stretch, arms high, back eased, sandals slipped on, thongs tied loose, joins her at hearth. They sit close on low stools, knees near, sharing small warmth in perfect silence. Fire crackles gently now and then. Lamp flame holds without flicker. Children wake gradually in side room. Julia first. Eyes opening slow, blinking at soft gold spilling through doorway. long, quiet yawn stretching wide, hair smoothed back with sleepy palm. Lucius next, rolling over once, burying face in blanket a moment, then pushing up with small murmur, rubbing eyes with small fists. They pad barefoot to main room, settle near hearth warmth, knees drawn close. Porridge prepared once more, barley scooped into bronze pot, water poured from cistern jar, pot set over coals, stirred in wide, patient circles. Plain today, salt only. No sweetness left in the small honey jar. Smell rises warm and simple. Grain warmed through, faint smoke threading upward. Olive oil ghost from lamp still lingering in air. Family gathers around low table, bowls filled, steam curls slow, spoons lifted without haste. They eat in calm quiet. Soft words appear now and then. Marcus, noting sky looks clear for drying herbs soon. Livia, saying wool thread is nearly enough for new blanket piece. Julia asks in small voice if she may try weaving a small border today. Livia nods once. Lucius yawns between bites, continues eating without pause. Bowls washed in cool basin water, dried with folded linen, returned to shelf in exact places. Blankets folded neatly, mats smoothed flat. Marcus gathers pouch, touches each forehead lightly. Soft press, gentle. Steps into Morning Street. Neighbors offer short, calm greetings. Salvete carried on cool air. Town wakes in gentle layers. Shutters creaking open. Jars clinking at fountain. Bread scent drifting stronger. Livia sweeps floor. Wide, slow arcs. Dust rising soft, settling, carried outside in small pile. Courtyard. Water jug lifted. Poured over herb pots one by one. Mint leaves shiver under droplets. Rue darkens. Coriander stems gleam wet. She sits near wool basket. Handful taken, soft, pale fibers. Drawn thin between fingers. Twisted gently. Spindle dropped. Turns slowly then steady. Thread lengthens inch by inch. Winds onto bobbin. Julia sits close. Small spindle turning. Thread steadier each day. Lucius rolls wooden cart. Thump, roll, thump. Pebbles arranged in quiet rows. Gathered again. Quiet play. Sun climbs higher. Room warms. Shutters half closed against strongest rays. Midday rest arrives. Marcus returned, lying on mat near atrium, eyes closed. Livia, spindle resting in lap, head against wall. Children curled together on cushions, breathing deep and even. Town hushes. Fountain drips slower. Voices fade to murmurs. Afternoon stretches long, warm, still. Evening comes soft. Stew warmed. Lentils, onion, fresh rue, torn in for faint sharpness. Eaten in lamplight circle. Words few, gentle. Perhaps cooler night soon. Wool almost ready. Small echoes of every evening before. Lamps lowered one by one. Fire banked. Coals neat pile. Ash over top. Children guided to mats. Blankets tucked. Smoothed. Night settles thick and peaceful. The days remain woven together. Each the same quiet thread in the same slow pattern. Morning coals, porridge circles, wool twist and spin, herb water drops, midday hush, evening stew, lamps dim, sleep under wool. Repetition never tires, never falters. It holds everything gently, endlessly, calmly. Let that endless, gentle holding wrap deeper around you. Let your breathing match its slow, even rhythm. Let every thought soften, blur, drift away until only deep quiet remains. The days flow onward in their unchanging, soothing current. each one melting seamlessly into the next without ripple or break. Another night has passed in the same deep, enveloping quiet. The coals beneath, their ash blanket holding steady, red glow hour after hour, the shutters permitting only the finest, silver threads of moonlight to trace slow paths across the stone floor before dissolving with the stars. Sleep remained complete and gentle, 4 bodies resting in the same slow rhythm of breath. No stir, no turning, only the soft rise and fall under heavy wool. Now the pre-dawn gray returns, thin and cool, creeping through every small opening until the room shifts from black to soft charcoal, then to pale dove gray. A lone bird calls once outside, short, clear, then falls silent again. The fountain continues its eternal slow drip, drop after drop after drop, the sound drifting in like a heartbeat too calm to hurry. Livia wakes in the dimness. She lies motionless for a long stretch, eyes open yet resting, feeling the familiar textures once more. The slight weave of linen beneath her, the comforting weight of blanket across waist and legs, the cool air brushing one cheek where hair has slipped loose overnight. She listens without intention. Faint creak of settling wood overhead, soft rustle of wool waiting in the basket, distant fountain blending with her own unhurried breathing. Nothing pulls, nothing presses. She allows the morning simply to be. Minutes lengthen, many minutes, before she eases blankets aside, feet to cool stone. Standing, arms lifted in slow stretch, shoulders rolled forward, then back, neck tilted gently until night's last stiffness fades. To the hearth, ash parted with careful palm, embers still alive beneath gray cover. 3 thin sticks laid across, one, then another, then the third. Breath blown lightly, once, twice, 3 times if needed. Flames catch small and polite, warmth spreading in patient rings across hands, wrists, face. Lamp wick touched to new flame. Soft pop. Golden light blooms gradually, touching hearth first, then low table, then loom standing silent, then wool basket, then folded tunics on chest. Room awakens, piece by quiet piece. Marcus wakes to the growing glow. He remains lying still a while, watching Livia's calm silhouette against hearthlight, then sits up slowly. Stretch, arms high, back eased, sandals slipped on, thongs tied loose, joins her at hearth. They sit close on low stools, knees near, sharing small heat in wordless peace. Fire crackles softly now and then. Lamp holds steady flame. Children wake in side room. Julia first, eyes opening slow, blinking at soft gold filtering through doorway. Long, quiet yawn. Hair smoothed with sleepy palm. Lucius next, rolling once, twice, then pushing up with small murmur, rubbing eyes. They pad barefoot to main room, settle near hearth warmth, knees pulled close. Porridge prepared again, barley scooped carefully, water poured from cistern jar, pot set over coals, stirred in wide, patient circles. Plain today, salt only, honey jar empty and waiting for market. Smell rises warm, simple, familiar. Grain warmed through, faint smoke threading upward. Olive oil whisper from lamp. Family gathers around low table, bowls filled. Steam curls slow, spoons lifted without haste. They eat in calm quiet. Soft words drift across meal. Marcus noting neighbor's courtyard. Vine is heavy with grapes soon. Livia saying wool is ready for loom warp tomorrow perhaps. Julia asks quietly if she may help wind thread onto shuttle. Livia nods once. Lucius yawns between bites, continues eating without pause. Bowls washed in cool basin water, dried with folded linen, returned to shelf in exact places. Blankets folded neatly, mats smoothed flat. Marcus gathers pouch, touches each forehead lightly. Soft press, gentle. Steps into Morning Street. Neighbors offer short, calm greetings. Salvete carried on cool air. Town wakes in gentle layers. Shutters creaking open. Jars clinking at fountain. Bread scent drifting stronger. Livia sweeps floor. Wide, slow arcs. Dust rising soft, settling, carried outside in small pile. Courtyard. Water jug lifted. Poured over herb pots one by one. Mint leaves shiver under droplets. Rue darkens. Coriander stems gleam wet. She sits near wool basket. Handful taken, soft, pale fibers. Drawn thin between fingers. Twisted gently. Spindle dropped. Turns slowly then steady. Thread lengthens inch by inch. Winds onto bobbin. Julia sits close. Small spindle turning. Thread steadier each day. Lucius rolls wooden cart. Thump, roll, thump. Pebbles arranged in quiet rows. Gathered again. Quiet play. Sun climbs higher. Room warms. Shutters half closed against strongest rays. Midday rest arrives. Marcus returned, lying on mat near atrium, eyes closed. Livia, spindle resting in lap, head against wall. Children curled together on cushions, breathing deep and even. Town hushes. Fountain drips slower. Voices fade to murmurs. Afternoon stretches long, warm, still. Evening comes soft. Stew warmed. Lentils, onion, fresh mint torn in at end. Eaten in lamplight circle. Words few, gentle. Perhaps figs tomorrow. Wool nearly enough. Small echoes of every evening before. Lamps lowered one by one. Fire banked. Coals, neat pile. Ash over top. Children guided to mats. Blankets tucked. Smoothed. Night settles thick and peaceful. The pattern holds forever gentle. Morning coals stirred. Porridge circles drawn. Wool twisted and spun. Herbs watered, drop by drop. Midday hush, evening stew warmed. Lamps dimmed, sleep under wool. Each act the same, each day the same. The repetition itself the deepest calm. The softest comfort, the quietest peace. Let that endless, soft repetition carry you deeper still. Let your breathing follow its patient, unchanging rhythm. Let every thought loosen completely, drift away, dissolve into warm, dark quiet. The gentle, unbroken rhythm persists, each day folding into the next with the same quiet certainty, the same soft repetition that has carried this household through countless mornings and evenings without ever needing to change. Another night has slipped past in complete peace. The coals, beneath ash, glowing faint and steady through every dark hour. The shutters allowing only the thinnest, silver lines of moonlight to move across the floor before fading away with the stars. Sleep held everyone deeply, evenly, without dream or disturbance, only the slow shared breathing under wool blankets. 4 lives resting in perfect calm alignment. Now the gray light of pre-dawn returns once more, thin and cool, creeping in through every small gap until the room shifts from black to muted charcoal, then to the softest pale gray. A single bird calls outside. Brief, clear, then silence folds back in. The fountain in the square keeps its slow, endless drip, drop after drop after drop. The sound drifting through open shutters like a heartbeat too peaceful to hurry. Livia wakes in the dimness. She lies still for a long time, eyes open yet resting, feeling once again the familiar textures, the slight roughness of linen beneath her, the comforting weight of wool across her legs, the cool air brushing one cheek where a strand of hair has fallen loose. She listens without effort. Faint creak of wooden beams settling overhead. Soft rustle of wool fibers waiting in the basket. Distant fountain blending seamlessly with her own slow, even breathing. Nothing demands, nothing pulls. She simply lets the morning exist. Many minutes pass. Long, uncounted minutes before she eases the blankets aside. Feet to cool stone floor. Standing. Arms lifted in slow stretch. Shoulders rolled forward, then back. Neck tilted gently until the last night's stiffness melts away completely. To the hearth. Ash parted with careful hand. Embers still holding faint red life beneath gray blanket. 3 thin sticks laid across. One, then another, then the third. Breath blown softly, once, twice. Flames appear small and polite. Warmth spreading in patient circles across palms, then wrists, then face. Lamp wick touched to new flame. Soft pop. Golden light blooms gradually, touching hearth first. Then low table, then silent loom. Then wool basket. Then folded tunics on chest. Room remembers itself piece by quiet piece. Marcus wakes to the growing glow. He lies still a while, watching Livia's calm silhouette against hearth light, then sits up slowly. Stretch, arms high, back eased. Sandals slipped on, thongs tied loose. Joins her at hearth. They sit close on low stools, knees near, sharing small heat in wordless peace. Fire crackles gently now and then. Lamp holds steady flame. Children wake in side room. Julia first. Eyes opening slow, blinking at soft gold filtering through doorway. Long quiet yawn stretching wide. Hair smoothed with sleepy palm. Lucius next, rolling once, twice, then pushing up with small murmur, rubbing eyes. They pad barefoot to main room. Settle near hearth warmth. Knees pulled close. Porridge prepared once more. Barley scooped carefully. Water poured from cistern jar. Pot set over coals. Stirred in wide, patient circles. Plain today. Salt only. The small honey jar long empty and waiting. Smell rises warm, simple, familiar. Grain warmed through. Faint smoke threading upward. Olive oil whisper from lamp. Family gathers around low table. Bowls filled. Steam curls slow. Spoons lifted without haste. They eat in calm quiet. Soft words drift across meal. Marcus, noting the air feels a touch cooler this morning. Livia saying the mint in courtyard is still strong enough to dry a few leaves soon. Julia asks quietly if she may help set the warp on loom tomorrow. Livia nods once. Lucius yawns between bites, continues eating without pause. Bowls washed in cool basin water, dried with folded linen, returned to shelf in exact places. Blankets folded neatly, mats smoothed flat. Marcus gathers pouch, touches each forehead lightly. Soft press, gentle, steps into Morning Street. Neighbors offer short, calm greetings. Salvete carried on cool air. Town wakes in gentle layers. Shutters creaking open. Jars clinking at fountain. Bread scent drifting stronger. Livia sweeps floor. Wide, slow arcs. Dust rising soft, settling, carried outside in small pile. Courtyard. Water jug lifted. Poured over herb pots one by one. Mint leaves shiver under droplets. Rue darkens. Coriander stems gleam wet. She sits near wool basket. Handful taken, soft, pale fibers. drawn thin between fingers, twisted gently, spindle dropped, turned slowly then steady, thread lengthens inch by inch, winds onto bobbin. Julia sits close, small spindle turning, thread steadier each day. Lucius rolls wooden cart, thump, roll, thump, pebbles arranged in quiet rows, gathered again, quiet play. Sun climbs higher, room warms, shutters half closed against strongest rays. Midday rest arrives. Marcus returned, lying on mat near atrium, eyes closed. Livia, spindle resting in lap, head against wall. Children curled together on cushions, breathing deep and even. Town hushes. Fountain drips slower. Voices fade to murmurs. Afternoon stretches long, warm, still. Evening comes soft. Stew warmed. Lentils, onion, fresh rue, torn in for faint sharpness, eaten in lamplight circle. Words few, gentle, perhaps figs ripening soon, wool thread nearly enough, small echoes of every evening before. Lamps lowered one by one, fire banked, coals neat pile, ash over top, children guided to mats, blankets tucked, smoothed. Night settles thick and peaceful. The pattern remains forever gentle. Morning coals stirred, porridge circles drawn, wool twisted and spun, herbs watered drop by drop, midday hush, evening stew warmed, lamps dimmed, sleep under wool, each day the same length, same tempo, same quiet purpose. The repetition never tires, never falters. It holds everything softly, endlessly, calmly. Let that same soft, endless holding wrap deeper around you. Let your breathing follow its patient, unchanging rhythm. Let every thought loosen, drift away, dissolve into warm, dark quiet. The quiet current of days has carried us this far, each one so gently like the last that the boundaries between them have long since softened and disappeared. Another night has passed in the same deep, enveloping calm. The coals under ash glowing their faint, steady red through every dark hour, the shutters letting in only the finest silver threads of moonlight that traced slow, silent paths across the stone before fading with the stars. Sleep held the household completely, 4 bodies resting in the same slow rhythm of breath under wool blankets. No stir, no sound, only the soft shared rise and fall that matched the distant fountain drip. Now the gray pre-dawn light returns once more, thin and cool, seeping through every small crack, until the room shifts from black to muted charcoal, then to the softest pale gray. A single bird calls outside, brief, clear, then silence folds back around it. The fountain continues its eternal slow cadence, drop after drop after drop, drifting in like the calmest possible heartbeat. Livia wakes in the dimness. She lies still for a long, unhurried time, eyes open yet resting, feeling the familiar textures one final time. The slight weave of linen beneath her, the comforting weight of wool across her legs, the cool air brushing one cheek. She listens without intention. Faint, settling creak of beams overhead, soft rustle of wool fibers in the basket, distant fountain blending with her own slow breathing. Nothing demands attention. Nothing needs to change. She simply allows the moment to hold her. Many minutes pass. Long, peaceful minutes, before she eases blankets aside, feet to cool stone. Standing, arms lifted in slow stretch, shoulders rolled forward, then back, neck tilted gently until every last trace of night fades. To the hearth, ash parted with careful palm, Embers still alive beneath gray cover. 3 thin sticks laid across. One, then another, then the third. Breath blown softly, once, twice. Flames catch small and polite. Warmth spreading in patient circles across hands, wrists, face. Lamp wick touched to new flame. Soft pop. Golden light blooms gradually, touching hearth first. Then low table, then silent loom. Then wool basket. Then folded tunics on chest. Room remembers itself piece by quiet piece. Marcus wakes to the glow. He lies still a while, watching Livia's calm silhouette. Then sits up slowly. Stretch, arms high, back eased. Sandals on, thongs loose, joins her at hearth. They sit close, knees near, sharing small heat in wordless peace. Fire crackles gently. Lamp holds steady. Children wake gradually. Julia first. Eyes slow, blink at gold filtering in. Quiet yawn, hair smoothed. Lucius next. Rolling once, twice, push up with small murmur. Rub eyes. They pad barefoot, settle near hearth, knees close. Porridge prepared once more. Barley scooped. Water poured. Pot over coals. Stirred in wide, patient circles. Plain, salt only. Smell rises warm, simple, familiar. Grain. Faint smoke. Olive whisper. Family gathers. Bowls filled. Steam curls slow. Spoons lifted without haste. Eat in calm quiet. Soft words drift. Marcus noting air cooler now. Livia saying mint still strong for drying. Julia asks quietly if she may help finish winding thread today. Livia nods once. Lucius yawns, continues eating. Bowls washed, dried, shelved. Blankets folded. Mats smoothed. Marcus gathers pouch, touches foreheads lightly. Steps into Morning Street. Soft greetings. Town wakes gently. Shutters open, jars clink. Bread, scent, drifts. Livia sweeps, slow arcs, dust soft, carried out. Courtyard, water over herbs, mint shivers. Rue darkens, coriander gleams. She sits. Wool taken, drawn thin, twisted. Spindle dropped, turns. Thread, lengthens, wins. Julia joins, small spindle steady. Lucius rolls cart, thump, roll, thump. Pebbles, quiet rose. Sun climbs, room warms. Shutters half closed. Midday rest. Marcus on mat. Livia spindle idle. Children curled. Breathing deep. Town hushes. Fountain drips slower. Afternoon long, warm, still. Evening comes soft. Stew warmed. Lentils, onion. Fresh mint torn in. Eaten in lamplight. Words few, gentle. Figs soon, perhaps. Wool enough now. Small echoes of every evening. Lamps lowered. Fire banked. Children to mats. Blankets tucked. Smoothed. Night settles thick. Peaceful. And so the days continue. Morning coals, porridge circles, wool spun, herbs watered. Midday hush, evening stew. Lamps dimmed, sleep under wool. The pattern never ends, never needs to end. It simply is. Gentle, steady, calm. The quiet heartbeat of ordinary Roman life that asks nothing more than to keep turning, slow and soft forever. Let that forever gentle turning carry you now. Let your breathing match its patient rhythm. Let every thought loosen completely, drift away, dissolve into the warm, dark quiet that has been waiting all along.